some disturbing TikToks, they try to hide about reality.
Once you see these clips, you'll understand why. Let's get into it.
There's a new warning today of possible Iranian drone attacks on the West Coast. We are learning that the FBI has alerted police departments across the state that Iran could retaliate with strikes in California.
Why are all the news channels telling us that we're about to have a strike inside of California? That they're going to send drones into California? We know this, what appears to be a nuke was just dropped in Iran today. I'm not even screwing with y'all about Iran, but in Iran today. Now we have the president saying that, oh, guess what, guys? We have won the war. Remember where I showed you guys where George Bush came out and said mission accomplished, before this two-decade war in the Middle East? They say, oh, it's all destroyed. 89% of everything is destroyed. Tell me why ships are going down right now by the hands of Iran. Tell me why Israel has been being bombarded with missiles from Hezbollah for hours in a row. Hundreds of missiles, hours in a row. I had already showed you guys where it seems like something's going to happen in America. They're all talking about there's going to be some kind of attack on the US. Now the news already knows what kind of attack to look out for. It's going to be an attack into California. How would they even be able to do that? Ask yourself that. Iran on the other side says this war is not over. Israel says that we can go as long as needed. Tell me how this is over when things have nothing but escalated to this point. Also, I told you guys there were more than just 7 or 8 people that had gotten hurt. Now they're saying 130. But of course, everyone said that I was wrong. Trust the government's numbers, right? I still don't think it's the accurate number in the first place. I mean, you guys even know how many people are literally active in this war just in the Middle East alone? Yeah, he says it's over, but I say, just watch. Next week, 2 weeks, whatever, something is going to happen.
If it's not already bad enough that the war is taking place, now they want to plant seeds of be on the lookout. Iran may be hitting California.
That's pretty interesting. Some people think it's probably going to be a false flag going on.
It just seems like another way to keep us all in fear.
I wasn't looking through the phone. Like, I was scanning the field, but I was like looking at the field, and I seen the sky do it. And I was like, what the world? And I stopped the video and I went back and my phone caught it. I don't know what it is. It's weird for sure. I'll show you guys a video. Check it out. Tell me what you think. It's kind of weird.
Someone said the Smithsonian must have missed one. Look at what this person finds in this crevice while in Mitora, Greece. A giant skull that fell down who knows how long ago. And if you look, they're about 100 yards away from this crevice. So that head is estimated to be twice the size of a human skull, which is exactly how many different ancients described the size of some giants. Twice the size, some were 3 times the size. Double rows of teeth. Look at this freaking thing, dude. Giant skull found in Greece. And guess what? The ancient Greeks talked all about freaking giants. Also note, you can't really get up here. This isn't part of the tour. It's kind of a spire sticking up out of the ground. And furthermore, the person who uploaded this said that God guided their gaze to this spot. They saw it with their eyes first, and then they said, hold on a sec, zoom in. It's a freaking giant skull. And by the way, before you think, oh, that's impossible. Dude, look up the newspaper articles. Since the 1800s, there's been hundreds of articles about giant bones, giant skulls, everything found, boom, bang, bing, all across the United States, all across Europe, let alone the ancient texts, like the Bible, and even the Quran talks about it. I'm pretty sure even the freaking Talmud mentions giants. It was common knowledge back then. Cain and Abel, you got Jack and the Beanstalk. How many fairy tales? I'm just reading fairy tales now, and I'm seeing that so many of them are talking about giants. Fairy tale. They duped us, man. People thinking giants didn't exist or weren't real, yada yada. They freaking were, but the problem is that if you find out that giants are legit, it'll make you question the official narrative of how history unfolded, and their whole charade falls down. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and follow for more.
That's pretty bad. It does look like a skull in the little crack there. But I went in and did some research, and this film or this footage is actually from 2024. So I wonder if they still have that there, or if people got a hold of this video and decided to remove it.
In Never Neverland, what did the Nephilim do? Their parents were the mermaids, the sirens, that had sex with the angels and turned them into fish and closed their legs so they couldn't have sex anymore, basically, with the fallen angels. And they were turned into sirens. And so in Never Neverland, you've got Mermaid Lagoon, and then you've got Cannibal Cove. What were the Nephilim known for? Eating people. This is why, and the Indians, and there's also the Indians in that little island that Peter Pan takes them to, and he goes, how? You know this idea of how? Because if you read the tales of the Native American Indians, they would go like this to show me your fingers. Because if you had 6 fingers, they knew that you were working with the Nephilim that would eat people. That's a whole other thing. We can get into that. But the Native Americans went like this. It wasn't how, it was like, how many fingers do you have? We named it how. They went like this because they would do this. They would want to see the Spaniards' hands. They would always go like this, show us your hands. Because if you had 6 fingers, they were afraid of you. Because you were genetically deformed, hybridized, working with the cannibal people that would eat people. So like the 6-fingered people that are being bad, that's like a known thing throughout history. Like it's like literally there were 6-fingered people that would eat people, or they were deformed giants, or they were mixed with human.
Maybe that's the real reason why they took off the Indians, because the Indians had the understanding of hybrids. That's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You guys ever heard anything like that before?
A doctor named Heidi Yellen exposed how the elites plan on killing you. She figured out that the frequency of a nearly dead person was 15 megahertz, and the frequency of a healthy person was 100 megahertz. So to lower your frequency, the elites came up with this fabric called polyester, which also has a frequency of 15 megahertz. Just by wearing this fabric, you're lowering your frequency, which makes you more ill, more depressed, and increases the chances of you being possessed, because demons also operate at lower frequencies. But if you wear linen, which has a frequency of 5,000 megahertz, you'll be healing your body from all disease. Your stress will go away, and you'll be closer to divine intelligence, because God operates at higher frequencies.
That's some pretty evil shit right there.
It seems like they were using a lot of things to lower our frequencies.
Yeah, remember a few episodes back where we were going over the linen sheets and how it was healing the patients?
Yeah.
So it only makes sense for us to be wearing linen clothes. It's like, what haven't they thought out?
Get some type of afterlife portal. Anubis, Osiris, same symbol that's on our money. That eye is pointing directly there. That's the tunnel. A lot of people might think they're not real. Alex, are these real?
Yeah, these are in the dirt. This is not in any way, shape, or form bullshit.
I am here on an archaeological dig. He has the imaging report of this ground that shows there's something under there. But that's the tunnel that we're starting at right there. This looks to be a giant megalith. It keeps going on for a long time. You can definitely see carvings in it. Carvings appearing in it, but I can't tell if it's dirt or rock. And I also really don't want to keep going. This stuff could be really soft. This looks like it could be part of a pathway, and its placement with the tunnel. You see how it's going down? And then you have the dog. That eye is pointing to the right. It's pointing directly there, the tunnel to the city. I'm very curious. Looks like soft aliens as to where this is going on. Anubis, creating life. Also where it's coming from. Osiris. How much stuff they're going to find with the heart in the middle. The jackal. Same symbol that's on our money. Feels pretty ominous. You look at this. Look at his eye. It's not looking straight forward. It's looking down at that hole like he's guarding it. I think all these are just part. This is one chapter in the book. I think that might be right. The gesture of it all with the skull. Alex noticed a figurine that you hadn't seen on any of them. You only seen them. And the figurine, it looks like a statue. We looked at a lot of these artifacts in the last 3 days. Dug this one out of the ground, and I just took another one out of the ground, and I don't feel great about the way this is happening, but I'm here. If you look at these things, I think it's some type of afterlife portal, because no matter what direction you look at it, from right here, or from up here, or from down below, or even upside down and sideways, it tells a story. But then you come around on the backside, there's nothing but raw earth all the way around it.
Like, know what's on the bottom of this.
Is that really something you want to find out? Just showing you where we're at. This is real. Anybody want to come help find the lost city with the underworld portal? Anybody else crazy enough to pay money to come here?
Egyptian symbolism in Mexico.
Well, I mean, they have a lot of stuff down there. A whole bunch of pyramids and a whole bunch of different statues. So it really wouldn't surprise me. Some believe that they were able to connect with the people in Africa through the underground paths. So,
yeah, I mean, even in the Grand Canyon, they're finding Egyptian symbolism. So it seems like this may have been like a worldwide thing.
yeah, what's your thoughts? Let us know down below.
Tell me the craziest shit in the book of Enoch. Tells you. The Watchers and the Nephilim. The Watchers descended to earth on Mount Hermon. They take human wives, teaching humanity forbidden knowledge, sorcery, astrology, metalworking, weapons, cosmetics, and enchantments. Enchantments. This is like older than the New Testament, older than the Old Testament. Their giant children, the Nephilim, are described as monstrous beings who devour humans, animals, and even each other when food runs out. That sounds like us.
That's what I'm saying.
So it makes you wonder, is this why they didn't want the book of Enoch in the Bible? Is this why they didn't want this information out? Because it would have people thinking of things totally different?
Right, it would totally change our sense of history. You know, it's interesting too how the Watchers kind of remind me of that movie, The Eternals. You know, they taught humanity how to do all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think they were trying to tell us something in that movie also?
Yeah, they're always telling us something in the movies.
Now they're bringing us to a room with a bunch of babies in cylinders. The babies look like they're alive, like the way they would look in a mother's womb.
And how many babies?
Hundreds. They want us to know that these are our children. We each have more than 20 kids. It feels bad that I can't live with my baby, but I don't.
Israel's former space security chief, Haim Eshed, has stated that extraterrestrials do exist and there's a galactic federation.
I've never heard of a galactic federation while I was in CIA itself. And he claimed that our president at the time, President Trump, knew all about it, but that we were not ready to make that type of contact with the Galactic Federation. There was a remote viewer by the name of Mel Riley. He's now deceased. And his remote viewing session was facilitated by Major Ed Dames. And in this remote viewing session, where Mr. Riley did not know the target, he described a galactic federation. And you have the tall beings, or sometimes called the tall Nordics. You have shorter beings. You have grays. You have reptilian beings. There are these various other beings working with the U.S. government. But what I was told was that they're helping us to derive the technology and adapt it for human use. And if they choose to appear, they will appear, and no government can stop them. And I believe there are many, many more that are waiting in the wings, waiting for the right type of environment for them to come out.
They always say they don't think that we're ready for it. I mean, they don't think we're ready for it, or they're not ready for it.
So what the hell is a couple of species being revealed gonna do?
Yeah, and people not being ready. I mean, well, they're not ready for war. They're not ready for a lot of shit that's going on. So, yet everybody's dealing with it.
Bingo.
Are you crazy?
I'm not crazy now. I lived a crazy life. I was raised in a crazy family, and it took me 31 years to get the crazy out of me. I had another personality. I had a fantasy world that I escaped to. I called my other personality Celestia. I called the other world that I created for myself the fourth dimension. I believed I was from that world. I believed I was from another planet. I think I was insane.
How did it manifest itself? What were your powers? What did you see in yourself?
Wow. So many different things. What could I do when I was Celestia? I spoke a different language. I spoke a different language that God and I spoke together. I could, you name it, I could do it. I could see into the future. I could heal people.
Can you still remember that language you spoke?
Of course.
Can you do any of it?
Sure. What would you like me to say?
I don't know anything.
Well, the word for God, okay, a lot of it is prayer. The word for God in my language was called Kines. Akines, akaforka tunadon. It is a good fortune, Istadon, to be here.
And that's a language you never
I don't know where it came
learned,
from.
not even know what it means.
I was, in my mind, learning it from God.
Wow, that was a crazy interview right there. Makes you wonder if they went after her because she was an undercover starseed.
I know what was crazy was when she supposedly got into that accident and was in a vehicle for about an hour while it was burning.
Yeah.
Yet when they show the footage of her being, I guess, pushed along into the ambulance, she popped up from under those sheets and she didn't look burnt.
No, and she popped up like, hey, I want to get out of here. And they just pushed her down and put her into the ambulance.
Did you guys see that clip?
I'll never forget that day watching that thinking, did the world just see what we just saw?
If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out and then let us know what you think in the comments. It was pretty wild.
Giants were very much real, and they were around not too long ago. But these versions were the smallest of the giants, or it seems like after the last reset, either directly or indirectly, they were slowly phased out. These were not individuals, though, that suffered from giganticism. You see no disfigurements, no deformations, just giant people living side by side with us little people. Once they were phased out to nothing more than a genetic abnormality, then the removal of them from history began, where we are told today that the thousands of years of shared history with them, all the depictions of them, all the pictures of them, are nothing more than just fables. Fables that were depicted the same in every country for thousands of years. The parasites had to remove them, though. To get us to deny our creator, they had to install all these theories like evolution, and giants would certainly go against that poorly constructed theory. It is up to you to see through the lies, though. I am here to present a different side of the narrative. It is up to you to choose to unlearn all that you have learned, because history is nothing more than a set of lies agreed upon. Question everything.
You hear that? History is nothing more than a set of lies that we all agree upon. These were definitely the much smaller giants. When you go and you look at the old world and you look at all those buildings, I mean, those buildings were built for like the Nephilim giants or something.
The Anunnaki have a lifespan of 200,000 years, and Anu has been their leader for the last 50,000 years. Anu has two sons, Enlil and Enki. Enlil works with their scientists to figure out that they can save the planet if they spray microscopic gold particles into the atmosphere to reflect the sun's radiation coming through the non-existent ozone. The only problem is they don't have any gold. So they set out searching for planets who do and found Earth. They know Earth has life, but it's just a few primitive bipedal creatures who are less than half the size of the Anunnaki. So they figure if we have to, we can take them. So they send out a party of 300 Anunnaki and 600 Igigi headed to Earth with a mission of setting up a city and mining Earth's gold. The Igigi are actually a separate alien civilization that had been conquered by the Anunnaki many years earlier and made into their own personal slave force. So once they land on Earth in the area that we know today as Mesopotamia, the Anunnaki, under the rule of Anu's son, Enki, put the Igigi to work building a settlement called Eridu, giving them all of 7 days to do it. The Igigi are a little grumpy, but they get it done, and then move on to digging for that gold. And dig they did. For about 150,000 years, with ships arriving regularly to take the gold back to Nibiru. But it's not enough. They need more gold. Enki tells the Igigi, work harder. And what was terrible treatment before gets even worse in trying to get the Igigi to work harder. But the Igigi are done. Under their leader, Atrahasis, the Igigi proclaim, mine your own gold. They collapse the mines and attack the city. They lose and are quickly brought back under control, but the Igigi still refuse to go back to work. Enlil, who's like the top administrator guy, says they're treasonous, they all gotta go. But Enki, more of a science guy, says, slow down, we're not gonna kill them. I got a way better idea. Let's use the locals. They're not really smart enough right now, but if we give them a little of our DNA, I'm sure we can come up with something smart enough to work the mines, but not smart enough to ask questions.
That kind of sounds like some of the elites in their outlook, you know? Give them just enough, but don't ask questions.
Of the giants, there was a giant world before us, whether you believe it or not. You tell me, why would all these giant books be made? And these books are found throughout different parts of the world, from giant medieval manuscripts to 300-year-old giant books found in Spain, among other countless ones I can name. I have always questioned, why would anyone in those times need books of that size? For example, a book written in the 13th century in the Czech Republic, weighing in its 75 kilograms, and in pounds that would be a little over 165 pounds. Now you tell me, how could any human of our size use a book that heavy?
It's real simple, it's real easy. It wasn't for us humans, it was for the giants. They used to live here before.
Absolutely. I mean, can you imagine how big a giant would have to be to hold a book that weighs 165 pounds? They definitely weren't built for us regular humans.
Why are so many old world buildings fitted with doors this massive? Doors so tall and heavy they tower over modern humans. The hinges are oversized, the latches sit far above arm's reach, and the frames feel wildly out of proportion. These weren't decorative, they were functional. In many cases, there's even a smaller door built inside the larger one, a secondary entrance, almost like access for smaller occupants without opening the main door. That detail raises a quiet question. Who was the main door really for? Some alternative historians suggest these buildings were designed for a time when humans weren't the largest beings moving through these spaces. Ancient texts from cultures around the world describe giants, not as symbols, but as physical beings who lived, worked, and interacted with humans. In that context, the architecture makes more sense. The doors weren't excessive, they were appropriately scaled, built for a shared world, designed for more than one size of inhabitant. Mainstream explanations say these doors were meant to project power, status, or ceremonial importance. And sometimes that may be true. But when the same oversized doors appear across continents and centuries, the pattern becomes harder to dismiss, because architecture reflects use.
Got a point. Architecture reflects use. They didn't just build it that size for no reason.
I think it's pretty clear, guys. There's aliens, there's a whole bunch of different species, there's Bigfoots, there's giants, there's lands beyond the wall or the ice wall. There is an ice wall. And there's a lot of shit that we just don't know about. And there's a programming that's been sold to the whole world that is starting to crumble.
Life is just one big movie.
So apparently this castle, Prague Castle, was built in the year 880 which I can't even begin to work out how many hundreds of years before the first power tool that was. And this castle is 250 meters above sea level. So what I'm expected to believe is that the good people of Prague got all these materials 250 meters above sea level before electric motors even existed, so horse and cart, and then they did all this with hand and chisel. You've got to be taking the piss, mate.
Yeah, we're definitely not buying that. A castle built in the year 880, before we had any type of modern tools or anything like that in place.
I thought it was bad enough thinking that these things, you know, being built in the 1800s was wild. We're talking about 880. I mean, that's just mind-blowing. Shows us once again that technology and all kind of other things have been suppressed. And they're just giving us crumbs.
As many of you know, certain e-files have come out that have revealed some pretty disturbing things about certain elites. And some of it is so bad that I think it's obvious that there's some demonic element to it. I'd go so far to say that some of these people may not actually be fully human. They may be hybrids or shape-shifting beings. And in support of this, consider this testimony from Juliet Bryant, who is a verified survivor of Epstein, where she talks about him turning into some kind of lizard or serpent.
Seen anyone else turn into anything like that? And it happened. It was like a weird hologram, and it had like big black eyes. You know, and I also saw Epstein shapeshift on the island. You know, when I was on the island, I saw Epstein like suddenly, and people have actually asked some pretty good questions recently. It wasn't like I saw him turning like the Incredible Hulk. What happened is, it was when I was taken in the bedroom the one time, and he had like a blanket up to here. And then I looked away and I looked at him, and suddenly it wasn't him anymore. It wasn't like I saw him turning. It was like it was him, and I looked away, and then when I looked back, it wasn't him. There was this weird creature. And then I looked away, and then I looked back, and it was him again.
You know, as crazy as that sounds, it pretty much adds up as far as like how he was able to get away with so much shit and have so much power globally. I mean, it just makes a little bit more sense if this is a reptilian world that we're living in. I mean, they're just doing their reptilian things that they do. And we're now all just becoming aware of it.
Your thoughts on that?
But I bet plenty of our ancestors knew about these beings. But once again, it didn't get included in the history.
This is an opera building, okay? Who would have their opera in this stone building? This building, it says, itself cost $7.5 million in 1861. 1861, $7.5 million. It also has $10 million worth of furniture. That's what it says on the back of here. And they say, this is the best. It was founded, right here, founded on the back. Founded, right? They found it, is what they did, in 1671. So you're telling me in 1671, someone built a $7.5 million building out of stone with $10 million worth of furniture. In 1671, they had this building. And then in 1875, they turned it into a theater. So 200 years later, they're like, yeah, it'll be a $7.5 million theater. And it talks about the staircases. It talks about, how everything was made out of colored marble and Corinthian columns. There was a green room for ballet, and it was for the opera. The Paris city has been reset many times, over and over and over again. And same with the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower is an atmospheric energy antenna. There used to be an orb.
It's another sign that these buildings have been here for many, many years, guys, and all they did was just found them, inherited, and just continued on with the show.
I still can't get over how they got $10 million worth of furniture in the 1600s.
So much that we don't know about, guys, but I'll tell you what, a lot of it's coming out now more than ever before.
And this history seems like the type of history that we all want to learn. It's actually interesting history.
You guys like this stuff? If you do, give us a thumbs up.
There's thousands of them every single day on your planet. Look what's coming out of the back of it in color. 5 separate gases coming out of this reptilian tanker, dropping 5 gases at 300 feet. You're smoking their gas today because they dropped this gas only on technically advancing communities. on the planet. Okay? Every 4 to 6 weeks. So you could be getting it today. Not one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're flying all over us. So the reason you don't see these, because they're dropping the gas. And so we are being mind controlled, not for the last couple of weeks, but for thousands of years. And back to the Romans again. Their minds were controlled. I know this sounds insane, but this is felt. This is what it is.
And that's coming from a former Navy officer. Once again, it seems like these reptilians, this is their world and we're just living in it.
It's a big ass experiment. That's what it is, and you're part of it.
It's starting to feel like that more and more.
Firmament map you can type in. It's on the Library of Congress. So it's on a government website, like it's straight up right on the government website, and it's called the Firmament Map. And you can just look that one up. It says 1893. You just type it in. It's not even hidden from the people. So, you know, when they're trying to talk about where they're going and we're going to Mars and, you know, going to space, they're not going anywhere. And a perfect example of this, the India moon landing. The India moon landing looks like an Atari graphics moon landing. You see like this little pixelated thing go pip, 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 and it lands on allegedly the moon, and the Indians are they're just clapping away. They've done it. It's crazy that you can make people believe that, right? Like if somebody believes that, they watched Atari graphics and they thought they went to the moon. Oh goodness. Imagine what else you can make them believe. You know, you can make them believe to take a whole bunch of things and put them in their body. You could also make them believe that they need to wear 64 masks. Like something like that.
It's crazy. I've never seen the India moon landings. They didn't look too enthused about that.
Not at all.
So it's like, who recorded it? We had the U.S. record the moon landing, Russia, China, India. That's the first time I ever seen one with India.
Seems like all the guys that are part of the Antarctic Treaty.
Right?
Yeah. They also got a space treaty going on too, I guess.
Where they're going to charge space tax.
He's going to have one eye. You've seen the celebrities all over the place. Look at them. The Weeknd, everyone does it. All the biggest people in the industry. They all go like this and they all go like this.
Prophet Muhammad says you'll have one eye. And what's going to be one of his tools, Sonny Boy?
Artificial intelligence. AI. Just look for yourself. Pop it up if you want. The eye is everywhere.